What's going on, everyone? Corey here with Xbox Tavern slash Gaming Tavern, back with another review. Today I'm taking a look at Arctic Awakening. This is the latest game from Goldfire Studios, just released everywhere, and let's see what it is all about. So Arctic Awakening is definitely a narrative-driven adventure game, probably best described as a walking simulator, although it has a little bit more complexities than, your average walking simulator. To start, it's not going to be an hour or two adventure like most that I have played. This is going to take you, anywhere from 8 to 10 to more hours, depending on how adventurous you actually get. Now, as the title suggests, you are in an Arctic environment. It is snowy. You have crash landed, which is no spoilers really, into this Arctic environment, and you are left alone with your therapy bot. So this is set in a sci-fi, not so distant future, and you have been separated from your only human companion that was on the aircraft. Now, from very early on, you have a goal of finding him and reuniting and getting to safety, getting rescued. And of course, that's where this whole game takes a turn. Not only are you in an Arctic environment and trying to just, get rescued yourself, you do need to survive. So there are survival mechanics in this walking simulator. You will have to find and consume food that satisfies your hunger, your physical hunger, but you also have to keep your mental mind in check as well. Now, I don't know what causes it to go down, if it's just over time or certain actions will cause it to go down quicker, but you will start to have almost like a panic attack, and the screen will kind of just have this hazy color go on, and you'll slow down a lot. You don't ever faint, you don't ever die or anything like that I experienced, but you will come across these careens, I think they're called, these rock formations where you can sit down and breathe. It's a little mini game where you have to meditate and kind of regain your mental composure. So there's that aspect of it. The survival part of this whole game is very low. It's really only food in that mental aspect. So if you're hardcore into survival games, don't expect that here. If you are into adventure games and especially exploring every little nook and cranny, there are tons of things to go read and find, but the game, for the most part, is very linear. It does follow an episodic format, 5 episodes in total, but all are included here with the game, so that is nice. And each episode actually feels like an episode of a show you would watch. There are end credits and an intro to each one, and to be honest, they're really well done. In fact, the voice acting and all of that actually goes on is really well done. I like what I hear. I like what I see. The visual aspects of the game are pretty high. Not super realistic, but not overall cartoony, if you kind of know what I mean. The story itself it's okay. It's not bad. It definitely intrigued me enough to want to keep going. However, I felt like I predicted the end of the game early on, definitely within the first half of the game for sure, if not, first 2 episodes. But it took a while to get going for me. It probably wasn't until the end of the first episode where they kind of leave you on a cliffhanger where I was kind of really wanting to know more. The parts of the game that I didn't like actually were the quiet parts before you kind of get to that, and they appear in later episodes as well. I will say that I've played this before launch. I believe there is a patch coming out that may address some of these, so take that for what it's worth. But there are parts of the game where there are very long and quiet walks. Very boring, honestly. I know I have to get to this place. I was walking for probably, 10 minutes or something, and I felt like there was very little dialogue to make the time go by quickly. So I'm just running as fast as the game would allow me to get where I needed to go. And while it wasn't that long every time, it definitely felt that way. Some places did have dialogue where I was talking with the robot. That kind of becomes like your main companion, obviously. But there was plenty of times where it was just me and my own personal thoughts. not in the game, and it just was too quiet, for me at that time. Kind of going into it, knowing it's a walking simulator game, kind of expected there not to be a lot of gameplay variety, and there isn't. There are the survival mechanics, like I mentioned. There are some small climbing sections, but literally you're just holding up still, just kind of like you're walking. So it is what it is. If you've played walking simulators, you'll probably understand what I mean when you're here for that story, not for the gameplay necessarily. And I think that shines through here as well. I do like to compare games to other games to kind of get across the vibe of the game. And if you've played Firewatch, this one definitely has those same vibes, which is a good thing. So Firewatch fans would probably enjoy this one as well. Technically speaking, this game was okay. I had some crashes. Like I said, this was before launch. There's some patches that have been said to come out. I don't know all what they contain, but I did experience some crashes. Sometimes the game definitely has some points in it where the camera focuses in and like this is the thing that you need to go to or interact with in order to progress. And I was there, like I couldn't figure out what was happening for the game to not let me continue. And luckily there's a restart scene button that puts you back a little bit depending on the autosave feature. It wasn't too bad, and I never got fully stuck where I couldn't complete the game, but I did have to reset a couple of times to get the game to progress. And again, like I said, there were a couple of crashes. It was mostly in the later portions of the game, and it wasn't too many, but definitely enough to notice. So yeah, that is kind of the overall gist of Arctic Awakening. Again, a walking simulator in the vein of Firewatch. It's very sci-fi and it tries to be mysterious. Might be a little telling on the plot for those paying attention, but it still was a good time. I'm glad I played it. I think overall it took me around the 9 to 10 hour mark. Obviously, I was trying to get through it as quick as I could, so there was definitely some things that I missed out on as far as like probably some side lore and really inspecting notes and things that I could find out there. But I don't really play games like that anyway, so it wasn't really much of a loss. I still got to experience the entire story, and they have alternate endings, and I was able to just reload the end and see that as well, which is kind of cool, to not have to play the entire game or even chapter to see those things. So with that said, that will do it for me for Arctic Awakening. Be sure to go to xboxtavern.com to check out my final score for the game. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.
Bombs away.